Welcome back to The Explainer. Now, right off the bat before we dive in, please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live channel for more updates. Okay, let's get straight into one of the absolute craziest matches we've seen at this summer's tournament. Portugal's wild 2-1 victory over Croatia. If you watched this game, you know exactly what a roller coaster it was. Today, we are going to break down the tactics, the heartbreak, the massive managerial gambles, and that incredible shift in momentum that totally defined this knockout clash. Let's get right to it.
Listen, if there is literally one word to describe the second half of this match, it's cinema. The source material captures the feeling perfectly here, calling it one of the craziest knockout stage games we're ever going to see. I mean, it had absolutely everything you could ask for, right? Late drama, controversial penalty calls, VAR reviews, goals ruled out by actual millimeters, and just sheer panic on the touchlines. It started as a completely bizarre match, but it ultimately turned into an absolute thriller that kept everyone on the edge of their seats until the very last second.
But to truly appreciate just how brilliant the end of the game was, we kind of have to admit how dreadful the start was. That first half was what you could really only call boomerang or elderly football. It honestly looked like the players had decided to play a retirement match, a flat 0 out of 10. The passing was safe, it was hesitant, and it completely lacked any crisp transition play. But man, the moment that second half kicked off, it just exploded into a 100 out of 10 thriller, totally fueled by desperate attacking play and intense VAR drama.
The sheer chaos of that second half unfolded at breakneck speed. First off, you have the 37-year-old veteran Ivan Perisic, who, by the way, is coming off 3 ACL injuries, somehow showing up again to score the opener for Croatia, capitalizing on a great cross from substitute Masanovic. Then, just utter panic in the box leads to a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty to level it. Right after that, Rafael Leao delivers this pinpoint cross for Goncalo Ramos to score a sensational header. And finally, in the dying moments, Josko Gvardiol thinks he has secured the equalizer for Croatia, only for it to be ruled offside. It was just a breathless sequence of events.
So, when we actually look at the underlying stats, a very specific and honestly surprising narrative pops up. Croatia actually outplayed Portugal in that second half. They had 6 shots on target compared to just 3 for Portugal. Croatia's midfield completely took over the game. Mateo Kovacic, who had been a bit quiet in recent years, turned into an absolute demon out there. He and Susic were absolutely balling out, hitting the post and creating constant chances. Portugal, on the flip side, were clinical with their minimal chances, but incredibly fortunate, relying on some massive, crucial saves just to stay alive.
And this is exactly why the result is just pure heartbreak for Croatia. They truly orchestrated their own downfall in 3 key moments. First, Nikola Vlasic gives away what some people called a soft penalty, but as the source points out, he inexplicably wrapped both arms around Renato Vega. You just can't give up a free penalty like that. Second, despite Kovacic dominating, Croatia suffered from a severe lack of clinical strikers. They had the chances, they just couldn't finish them. And finally, the ultimate heartbreak, Gvardiol's late equalizer. People might complain about the refs, but with the new sensor technology inside the match balls, it clearly picked up a touch from Matanovic that put Vlasic offside. The technology literally sealed their fate.
But amidst all this wild tactical chaos, there is a really heavy emotional reality to this result. This match marks the devastating end of Luka Modric's international career. It's such a cruel way to go out, thinking you've secured an equalizer to force extra time only to have it snatched away moments later. But if you're looking at the history of Croatian football, Modric isn't just on their Mount Rushmore. As the source notes, he literally is the Mount Rushmore, sitting way above legends like Šuker, Rakitic, and Mandzukic as the greatest Croatian player of all time.
When we think of Modric, the year 2018 just immediately comes to mind, doesn't it? He consistently delivered these insane moments for his country at major competitions. The source highlights his absolute masterpiece of a goal against Argentina in that 2018 tournament as the standout moment of his legendary career. For a nation that has constantly punched above its weight, dealing out heartbreaks to so many big teams over the years, Modric was always the engine. It's incredibly sad to see his international journey end, but fans can really only applaud what he has given to the game.
Which naturally brings us to a massive question for the Croatian national team moving forward. Is this the end for managers Latko Dalic and the old guard? I mean, Dalic has been at the helm for 8 or 9 years now. Eventually, time just runs out. Croatia's defense was surprisingly poor this tournament. They were so shaky that Gvardiol was actually benched for this match initially, with Sutalo and Pongracic stepping in. While young talents like Sucic and potentially Vuskovic show a lot of promise for the future, the team likely needs a new tactical direction and a new generation to step up. They bounce back after the 1998 generation, and they will probably bounce back again, but an era has absolutely ended here.
Okay, Let's pivot and look at the other side of the pitch for a second. Portugal. How on earth did manager Roberto Martinez survive this match? The source raises such a brilliant question. Is he a tactical genius, or is he just incredibly fortunate? Because for the vast majority of this game, Portugal played safe, sideways boomerang football. Players like Vitinho have incredible dribbling ability, were just playing stale side-to-side passes instead of actually driving at the heart of the defense. Martinez has an unbelievable squad, but the team looked entirely uninspired for really long stretches.
But then comes the 63rd minute gamble. And the sheer scale of the risk Martinez took here is staggering. He makes 4 massive substitutions all at once. He takes off Cristiano Ronaldo in a knockout match. He switches the formation to a 4-4-2. And perhaps most bafflingly, he places Gonçalo Ramos, a player with virtually no creative playmaking bone in his body, right into the number 10 spot. The source enthusiastically notes that you really have to question if a manager has the cojones to take off his biggest names in a do-or-die moment like that. Well, Martinez did exactly that.
Actually, scratch that. That gamble almost backfired spectacularly. It triggered this wild 13-minute midfield collapse, literally from the moment Portugal equalized until Ruben Neves finally came onto the pitch to stabilize things. Croatia's midfield completely carved up Portugal's new formation. With Ramos totally out of position at the 10, Portugal had zero control. They were being entirely overrun. This was the exact window where Croatia could have, and probably should have, found the dagger to win the game.
Entering those chaotic 90 minutes before the tactics somehow actually paid off, frustrated fans were genuinely calling Roberto Martinez a scammer, or jokingly labeling him a Spanish spy. The idea being that his tactical decisions, the sideways passing, the bizarre formation changes, the total lack of driving speed, were so baffling, it was almost as if he was secretly trying to sabotage Portugal ahead of their upcoming match against Spain. But hey, as the source admits, the players ultimately pulled through and bailed him out, proving his wild gamble successful in the end.
Ultimately, it was individual brilliance that got the job done for Portugal. You had Cristiano Ronaldo, who honestly looked visibly nervous throughout the entire match, perhaps feeling the weight of the rumors that this might be his last tournament. But he stepped up to bury his first-ever knockout stage goal, sending his penalty straight down the middle to immense relief. Then you had Gonçalo Ramos, proving once again he is incredibly clutch in knockout games, bearing an insane header from a beautiful Rafael Leao cross. And we absolutely must give a massive shout-out to goalkeeper Diogo Costa, who is arguably the man of the match for Portugal. He made crucial match-saving stops, including parrying a lethal Kovacic shot right onto the post.
But despite the victory, there is a massive warning sign flashing for Portugal right now. The reality is pretty emphatic. If Portugal goes into the upcoming Iberian derby playing this same slow, safe, side-to-side boomerang football, Spain's going to win 3-0. It's a bold prediction, but a really fair one. Spain is a highly cohesive team with incredible chemistry. Portugal currently looks like it seems stuck in two minds, right? Half the team is following slow tactical instructions, and the other half is just getting frustrated and trying to force individual moments of speed with players like Rafael Leao and Nuno Mendes.
Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought. Can Portugal actually abandon their safe, side-to-side tactical identity to survive against Spain in the Iberian derby? I mean, they got incredibly fortunate against Croatia, but fortune rarely strikes twice against a machine-like team like Spain. Martinez's gambles paid off this time, for sure, but he will need a much more cohesive plan if Portugal wants to advance any further. We'll just have to wait and see if they can finally unlock their true potential. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and please like, subscribe, and share Football Flash Live's channel for more updates.